Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny, like growing up, like they view Puerto Ricans like lower class because they're lighter skinned, and don't get wrong, like 4 out of 5 of my Puerto Rican friends were light skinned, you know, but still view as lower class, drug dealers and everything. And I don't even do drugs. And I think past like a year into moving to Seaside, I didn't even drink because, I woke up with like charcoal coming out my mouth and IVs and everything. I was like, and the police were concerned. They're like, oh my God, like here this guy come down. We thought he was a troublemaker and everything, but he is kind of chill or whatever. And I guess he got into a bunch of violent instances, but it's mostly just defending himself or whatever. But he's like a calming force or whatever. So they were even concerned or whatever, right? And so I knew there's good police officers because uh, I was at a house party and people saved my life and dragged me out of there, nearly half dead, alcohol overdose or whatever, right? Um. Anyways, what I was gonna say. Nah, just being seaside or whatever, and your friends. And yeah, your other Latino friends. I guess like I wouldn't say Colombians or whatever, but I think it is like Colombians were cool with me because my sister was a Colombian. But I think it was outside the Colombians and like the Brazilians really, and a few other people. I don't know. I don't know what they were. They were mixed Latino, partial Latino, by Italian, Latino that really sort of looked down at us, and they were like lighter skinned and and it was just cool enough with me. And then you know um they would just come over my house or whatever, because friend of me's and friends sometimes or whatever, just that type of thing, right? Like chilling or whatever. And then my mom only liked certain people over the house, only white people. She didn't like black people over the house at all. you know um Really only Germans, Irish, certain. She didn't really like my dad's side of family being Sicilian, uh Puerto Rican. She would go off or whatever on some Italians, but she was just like that, Just that was the term. Like, she was just like that. What I'm saying. We didn't really say she was Nazi, but looking back, she was very Nazi. I'm like, what do you want from me? It's like people go like, "What did you do to your mom?" I'm like, "I didn't do anything." She just is mad. It's like you have to spell it out. It's just like you're not white, and to me, they look at me. I'm dark skinned, what I'm talking about? But see, they wanted to be racist against me because I'm not dark. And it's like the same attitude you give to me and the condescending view towards me, she outright says it to you, what I'm talking about? She don't care. She grew up in that environment where she could do that, without any kind of repercussions. And a large part of America is like that. And so here I am defending them. And it's just this odd thing because and a lot of white people went through the thing. Their parents did not like dark people. But here I am, a dark person, defending them. And some of them became a lot very liberal and for civil rights and pushing for equality. But a lot didn't. And a lot were my friends at the time became racist afterwards. And some of them were Latino. Some were white. More were white. But it's just the odd thing that the ones that were Latino became because the environment was very racist. They absorbed that, and so you remove me from that environment that I wouldn't say push down Nazism and racism because I knew the inside of it. I got into arguments, and I could get in arguments with Nazis and people who knew German culture or whatever, American German culture, deep of it. And I'm like, am I talking about the war mech or am I talking about racism? And you could pick up those subtleties, you know what I'm talking about? And I could see those out in the environment because, you know, that was my family. And you sort of know how these inter social connections work within families, you know, because you're white inside the family and when you're outside, you're not. And you can see that instant change because just because of your skin color. And and you can identify good black people and ones that are criminals, ones that you know have good traits, whatever, ones that just want to survive. And if they had the opportunity, they would go legitimate. You know what I'm saying? From the Puerto Rican community. You know what I'm saying? So you just pick up on these things, these subtleties, because you got to deal with these extreme emotions. You know, and the other. But by and large, you know, it really did serve me well because I'll be with my Latino friends and you could hear only certain phrases certain people say when they feel this way. And they seem really benign. And I was like, don't be cool with that group of people over there. And it just seems normal. Why don't we spend our time with this group of people over here? And subtly, you realize you're dealing with a certain group of people, you know? I mean, Irish communities are odd because they're very tight and they would be upfront. They didn't hold anything back. So what they told you was what they meant. You know what I'm talking about? So if they didn't like you, they said it. If they liked you, they said it. You know, they weren't two faced because they were strong community, whatever. So you knew where you stood with them. And I think that's what grabbed. I'm not saying none of them were racist or a lot of them weren't racist, but I think because of that. And I think, and same thing with the Italian community, but they were very racist against Puerto Ricans to an extent. And that's the viewpoint that gets out here that they could tell what Puerto Ricans should do, even though we're part Italian. They use that part Italian to like almost coerce and manipulate and deceive and be two faced. And I think instead of like gang violence, you know, like West Side Story, I think in the '90s, definitely a lot of fights with Italians, even though my dad was Italian. I could get into that, but I could just see their viewpoint being the most prevalent viewpoint what Puerto Ricans is, and it's just not who we are. And now with the advent of TikTok and YouTube and everything, you actually see what the community is, and I'm so grateful. Like sometimes I think about it, I like almost cry that it's very native, very who I am, and how aggressive growing up Puerto Ricans came up to be instilled nativism. Because without that, I don't think I would be as native as I would be without that intervention. And seeing how my mom was and the articulation to get past my mom's barriers with their English. And as soon as they were with me, they would just slip in, Latino culture and everything. When I was single digits and everything. And nativism. When, babysit and everything. So and people were like, why did your mom's adopt? I was like, it was my grandmom's adopt. She's the one paid for it.
I wasn't always a wolf. I had to make these claws.
Being guilty of World War II, wanting like a Native American.
Our path is made today.
In a German community.
This is your champion.
Do not cross me, or my blade will cross you.
I'm the job master. Time to make.
I am the master of jumps. How you doing, Jay Loto?
Look at that. I beat you.
Konnichiwa!
I bet that's a good spot. Woman's intuition.
Hello, hello. Anybody speak English?
Let's find something good.
Can I?
Some materials. Damn it, that hurt.
They got the drop. Let's see here. I made him a friend. Uh-oh. I just got people in here. I have absolutely no idea who they are. Gotta prune everything. I think you just naturally gravitate these people who are more pluralistic, you know, for everybody, you know. And I guess in this weird macro way before the internet, of being in the suburbs with a lot of people. I mean, there's parts of the suburbs where not a lot of people, but in Jersey there's a lot of people. That I guess the people that came up who were white, they were very liberal. And of course, you have all the Latinos and, you know, blacks. So they get liberal, you had to be very educated. So they're like 10% of the population. That would be forward. That would be genuine or whatever. So you got this really educated class of white people that from their parents that learn, and they teach you this, you know, because most of the suburbs is Republican, right? And North Jersey is Democratic, and that's where I'm from. So you deal with these people that know how to deal with these Republicans, these racist Republicans, by and large. Like, I don't know what the percentile is. I mean, it's less now, but it was more growing up. There's more minorities at the Jersey Shore now, but when I was growing up, it was a handful of us. Like, maybe like one. Oh, God. There's maybe half a dozen Puerto Ricans in the whole school of 5,000. Maybe about 4 black people. 1, 2. He was half black. 2 that I know of. Talmadge, Brunson. Talmadge is actually a director now. I mean, granted, it's like low budget type of art house, but he did put out a movie. So Talmadge Brunson. That's about 2 or 3. So, and amount of Latinos, like actual full Latinos, like maybe 3. Pablo Manchuca. And I don't know what, and me, I'm Native American and Latino, so I don't know what category I am. And I know growing up there was this white Texan that tried to be my friend, and I just couldn't be his friend because he had like a 10-gallon hat. I was like, no, I just can't do it. I was like, get away from me. But this tall Texan, I remember him. I was like, no, man, not happening. But he always defended me, and I was like, man, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. With that racist 10-gallon hat. But then you find out a lot of Latinos have 10-gallon hats. A lot of Mexicans. I don't know. I had no exposure to other Latinos, it's just, except for Pablo, I guess. Very odd. Different world. I'm growing in the environment, so I think they prepared for me for these arguments against Nazism and the different layers of society barriers that these racists form to protect their racist views. And I guess being out here in Hawaii, they're more blatant about it and they intermix their political view with how they deal with people. Like in the bureaucratic system. And at least in Jersey, there's that delineation. You had that ardent racism, love, and hate, but when it came down to quantifying in the bureaucracy, they would separate it. Like, did you qualify for this? Are you this? There is that. And that's what I liked about Jersey. No matter how racist you are, be like, well, you could jump this high, you could do this, you could do that. But out here, they, unfortunately, intermix their biases on paper. And that's how they attack people. And I didn't realize this until a few years ago. And so now I sort of understand how they quantified and they try to codify their feelings, but they weren't directed towards you. So now I know how people on mass could feel a certain way towards you when it's completely backwards. And they themselves dug their own hole because they fed on top of their own lies. And when you're so in this culture of corruption and this fraudulent type of community or whatever, you try to defend the way you defend yourself, and upkeeping these lies is accusing the other. And so I keep that at arm's length. I don't want to get involved in any of that stuff. I don't need to. I'm talking about. So I decided the best way to do that, and I naturally learned, was just leaving Jersey. I already made the turn to going a different direction with my life. That now I could just be this very ardent person that's very transparent and honest, and that would make me stand out. Because what I learned in Jersey is when they think one thing and you're the other, there's that disparity of psychological thought that stands out, and over time people think like that. So people think this guy's not funny and you're fucking funny as shit. They're like, oh my god, look at this guy. You know what I'm talking about? So if they just slightly, so you don't want to talk about, so you just stand out over time, right? So you don't have to be this crazy personality all up in people's face. You just got to be honest and true, right? Because they already think this gaslight of you. So all I have to do is be successful. All I got to do is be successful in a very small community, and I'll stand out like a motherfucker. And they made that because they live in this gaslight of bullshit or whatever, And to them, and I'm from the mainland, so it works very well for me that because now I'm not supposed to be at that level. And they've run the numbers. It's like, where does this dark skin from? It has to be somewhere in Asia, but I'm not from Asia. You're from Asia. I'm from the United States. I'm native, so my skin color is native. And now that really is fucks with them because they put out this nativism, what is a diluted form of what our nativism is, and we're more native because we're the ones that had genocide against. We were the ones that fought the United States government. And so our bloodline developed that culture that is levels beyond what's out here. And a diluted form is out here, and they just don't have that bloodline's weak over here, so they don't really want to be as native as we are. And so now when you get into Asians who want to pick up the Hawaiian culture, it's diluted even further. And so it's just aspects and a perception of, okay, we want to identify and the culture of Polynesians of being native. And here I am, the core people that was in there sitting at, other, other Native Americans, other Puerto Ricans, and, AIM and other type of things, I'm talking about growing up. Ciphers and whatnot. And it always came down to, honestly, it came down to one thing. You need an army of lawyers and doctors and professionals and people who are successful to change society. It always came down to that. No matter what we did, you need to do that. You need to push for equality and be successful, and create the environment where people could learn and prosper. And you had to do what it took to get that done and make the sacrifices that are necessary. And that's the hardest thing to do. There are other things I said, but it always came down to that logic, when you got enough people there. I'm talking about? It's just like you could go through, you can see the evolution argument, but at the end of the day, what changes society the most is people's intellect, their creativity, the best of who they are, taking care of themselves, and they're able to be in a position to really make a difference, And here it's just like, it's almost like they're surviving on sympathy, this weakness, not this strength, not just, I'm not saying everybody, but I could guarantee you the Polynesians that have a touch of American culture, I'm talking about, of nativism that they brought back, look at, The Rock or, fucking Aquaman. Jason Momoa. You know what I'm talking about? So his touch of that nativism. And you can see he's literally, he contacted a lot of native people in the mainland, First Nations and other people, And you could see how a lot of different natives feel, and they know what it takes to get it done. And or different civil rights movements like this, you gotta be very assertive, in the right way, But I hear it's just like, I just want to be perceived as native. What can I get, But then when you do that, it's really for Asia. It's like I sort of look like Supreme. I could bullshit. One or two Filipinos in the mainland were honorary this or that, so we'll just give it to the whole island. But it's not about that. It's about pushing for everybody. You know, talk about a more equal society. Because if you are suffering genocide and you're dealing with people that hate, you want to bring in people who are not hateful. On anybody, you know what I'm saying? But I think what I learned that a lot of these people that come to America, they're very racist themselves. And so light-skinned people, light-skinned Latinos look for these people who are not racist, you know, and they could be a polarity of Americans, you know, from this country, that, and they get that luxury. Me being dark-skinned, I was a rarity, you know, I'm talking about among Latinos being native. And they didn't really identify me on the onset initially as my skin color being native, so I had a second to capture their attention. You know what I'm talking about? By and large, now that I know, now that I realize this. I mean, once they knew I was native, they would switch or whatever, and they feel dumb as shit. But what I'm getting at is that my light-skinned Puerto Rican friends would have all these other friends that are from all these different countries, and I indirectly be cool with them. But for me, people had to know who I was. And so I only was friends with the most liberal of white people because those other people from those other countries did not want to even talk to me, you know, even if they were light skinned, you know, I'm talking about if they were light skinned Indians or Arabs or Asians or Latinos. They only grudgingly be friends with me. You know what I'm talking about? They didn't want it. I was too dark. So those were never my friends. And I always be like, I always had a bullshit like, oh yeah, you know, whatever. But I knew I was never really friends with them. You know what I'm talking about? And so all my friends were people who knew me were basically Puerto Ricans, Colombians, Cubans, Irish, Italians, and usually just about. And most of the time, the black community was so small. 80% of black people, and it's always the people that just moved there that would give me an attitude, or if usually, and then they'd be cool with me. Okay, that's Dave, that's Supreme, whatever. But they would have to know who I am. So you have this very and but here I am pushing for a more equal society, but I had immigrants that didn't want to get along with me, but here I'm defending them because I'm, you know, I don't want racism. It's just like as soon as they get here, they learn English without an accent, they become racist. And I'm like, you're just wasting your time. And so I just, after about a year of being in Seaside, I didn't want to deal with anybody like that. I'm not wasting my time trying to be cool with people that it's going to turn on you. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, I like that one. And here you are. they don't want you to be part of America, and they didn't want Native Americans to be part of America, so they put you on reservations. And you know they're mad that you're off reservation. It's like, we don't want to admit that you still exist. There's a possibility of people like you existing. It's like near zero. You know what I'm talking about? And they don't want to be like, well, that's not what. And you know, a lot of people have very racist against Native Americans say it. But every so often, you get these people that know if you say shit about Native American, it doesn't really have traction. So they try to make it look like they're dealing with something else and try to justify the racism. So it's like,
Wanna fly? I make a great wingman. I don't settle.
are you fucking serious?
I'm
You know
not
what I'm
made
saying?
that way.
Introducing your champion.
And they grab a
I
hold
survived
of
being
this
swallowed by the dark heart of the
this
universe,
thing.
so you lot seem a wee bit quaint to me.
It's not reality or whatever, but if it convinces people, I didn't know what that was, but now I know it's demagoguery. If it convinces people, that's all they need. As long as it convinces people.
Hold on tight. It's time to
Well,
drop
hold
shot
on
and
to it.
rock. Enemy landed on me.
Are you serious?
Loading.
I hate this fucking lag, man. Should have had that fucking gun.
We'll get along beautifully. Just don't touch my things.
This is gonna be a good
I see your name,
All
Lifeline.
of our enemies.
Sketchhead, what's up?
This is your champion.
Let's land here.
Wanna land over there?
Here we
Good.
go. It's a long drop. Fun.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I don't people.
Attention. Ring countdown.
I turn it down.
Warning. Closing.
Welcome to the shop. Eu tenho de tudo. You are coming home with me tonight. Remember who hooked you up? I've got your back.
Attention. Delivering care package.
Incoming care package.
Jump drive out.
Right here.
Setting up shop. My favorite kind of loot. The kind that's all mine. Nice choice. You got good taste.
Grappling. Grappling. Zipline deployed.
So going up there.
Jump drive out. Half the squads are down. There's a fool killed every minute.
New kill leader. Eyes out farm.
Jump drive in position. Open up shop and shut them down. Mama's got a brand new bag.
Round 2. Beginning ring countdown.
Oh look, materials. Replicator incoming. I'm crafting. Patience.
I'm crafting. Hold up now. Check it. Got some materials for us.
Throwing jump drive.
Got some materials here.
Attention. There is a new kill leader.
New kill leader? Interesting.
Stop, I'm calling a lifeline package in.
Tossing jump drive.
1 minute. Rings nearby.
Opening shop. Come see the merchandise. I'm crafting. Beauty takes time.
Got an extended energy mag right here. Level 4.
45 seconds until the... Don't mind if I do. We've got 30 seconds to get to the next ring. If you go down, I'm not carrying you.
Wait up, I'm crafting. 10 seconds, the ring's just ahead. Then.
Hmm. Someone's coming.
Nice choice. You've got good taste.
Attention. Delivering care package.
I feel good about this care package. Shall we?
It's over there. Behind us.
Good, we finish off the whole squad.
Replicator being delivered.
business. Remember who hooked you up. I've got your back.
Calling in a lifeline package.
One minute until the ring closes. Everything Hume is going for. Mama's got you now.
Seconds. Rings close. Shield battery here.
We've got 30 seconds to be somewhere else if we don't want to get cooked.
Right. Moving.
Rings around the corner. 10 left.
Warning. Ring closing.
We're all outside the ring, and the wall of
package
death
being
is coming our
delivered.
way. Ooh, care package on the way. I like the sound of that. We made it to the top 3. Shop's open for business. My favorite kind of loot. The kind that's all mine. Nice choice. You've got good taste.
Care package over there.
We've got a minute until the ring closes. If you want it, bag it.
Seconds. Rings just up ahead.
Careful.
Graver here.
We've got 30 seconds to get
I'm
to the
good.
next ring. If you go down, I'm not carrying you.
Listen. We should get high ground.
10 seconds until the ring closes. Grab what you need and let's go.
Warning. Movement in progress.
Listen up. The rings moving.
Recharging my shields.
Broke their shield now. Shooting.
Recharging my shields.
Starting countdown.
Fire! Activating jump drive. Charging shield. Another 45 seconds. And the next ring right there.
We have our Apex champions.
Yeah, I could tell I missed 2 in a row. Jumped right when I started jumping on that. He knew how to move. So I don't know. It's just once I get my computer, should I switch over the keyboard? But I don't think it has the same feel from playing on a keyboard. You know what I'm talking about? This is my thinking. Like, where's the other skin though? Oh, this is really good. Monthly. Okay. Painkiller. Like, I should be on fentanyl, but I'm lucky that I'm not. I think that would kill me if I was. So I'd rather deal with the pain and do everything I can so I minimize it than dull the pain and then I walk on it and making my leg worse, you know what I'm saying? Which not only will not heal and make it worse, now I have to take more painkillers and you get this downward spiral, whatever, you know? So, and I probably wouldn't be focused to get my VA disability paperwork done and focus towards it, because what I realized, these people have lives and other patients or whatever, and you see them for but 5 minutes, you know, and they got their shit to do. So you gotta be, now we gotta realize I gotta write shit down and be very concise of what I want, because it gets misinterpreted, you know, I'm talking about very quickly. And I want us all to be on the same page, you know. And the ecosystem over at Triple and VA is very small, and that's part of it. You know, I'm not saying it's wrong that everybody talks to each other, and this island's small, and my medical information gets leaked by probably my nurses of my primary care provider. But it's just, I know that I never told any of my doctors that my claim got denied because they didn't believe that I had Paget's. It's not like they didn't believe. It's not formally given to them by doctors, so they need an abundance of evidence to have Paget's. And then I just realized that this morning. I was like, I never told them that. But it's the ecosystem of the VA and Tripler, and it being a small island. I get it, but you want everybody. But the point is that if I was on these painkillers, I wouldn't be focused enough, and I got to make sure that what I want is very concise and put down. You know what I'm talking about? It's like, look, I want this done to my leg. It might be better to have 4 cuts than 1 cut, because if you have a rod, and I'm not like a trigonometry expert, but if you have a curve and you make one, you're not going through the center of the bone as much as you would with 4 cuts. And it would just be this, in the long run, you're not really centering it, the forces of my bone correctly. You know what I mean? So, and I'm not a doctor, but I do want to put my opinion out there, I'm talking about. But to have it remembered, things get changed if it's not written down. And then other things with my VA claim, it's just like, yes, I should get better, but because I have Paget's, I should get this, I'm talking about. And I'm pretty sure everybody realizes that. It's like, how do you
Back to World's Edge. Still a few
formally
mysteries
stated
to
in a
dig up.
bureaucracy where you get that? And honestly, even though it's a disability claim, they don't want to give it to somebody, because it is politics. There's politics. They don't want to give a disability claim to someone that's not going to become something with their life, And I'm like, no, I'm going into the NBA. I mean, not basketball, but Master of Business program, or in the Master of Business program, and and real estate. So that would just be a base pay. So it's just like nothing to them. And I want to tell the world that I'm worth more than 10 tanks, because if you look at it, what is this disability, this 10,000 a month, really worth over the course? Let's say if I live 100 years, which I'm not, more than what I am right now, but that's just for number's sake, way and above for very conservative estimates. So you take 10,000 times 10. We'll just say that's 10 million, right? So am I worth $10 million? How much is $10 million? Am I worth a few Bradley infantry fighting vehicles? Am I worth 10 tanks? How much is a tank? Couple million? We'll say every tank is absurdly cheap at 3 million. Am I worth 3.3 million? Am I worth 3 tanks? Am I worth 10 tanks? Yeah, I think I'm worth 10 tanks. And that's why I want to keep stating every so often shit that will save you more than 10, 50, 100 tanks, and I'm more than worth it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like a drop in the bucket. Not only that, I could push for a better society, for all of us, Black, Native, and white. And I know I don't really bring up Black people a lot, but I think it goes without saying that my skin color depends. And, because the thing is, I only had a touch of New York, a touch of the Bronx, from my dad and being up and family in the Bronx, but it's just like, I don't want to like claim New York City or whatever and all this other stuff when I grew up in the suburbs and everything. But, and how we look, how the Black community and Puerto Rican community and Latino community and Native community, Native community, view the suburbs is fundamentally different from white people. But I have a lot of white influences, whatever. So I want to push for a better society the right way that encompasses everybody, not just like, oh, well, it has to be this Afrocentric view or this Latino-centric view or this Native-centric view or this white-centric view. It's okay to be a little bit of bias and racism. It's just the human condition, but you can't be an outright fucking Nazi, I've seen very racist Latinos too, just for Latino shit, So I've seen all aspects of it. Every race has their own races for only their, so. And I think that's a lot of it too. So it's like you're supposed to be getting this disability because of this loss of earning potential. And to a lot of people, it's more like in lieu of being able to work, but I just want everybody to be on the same page. Because it should be like nothing given it to me. It seems like a lot, but it isn't. It really isn't. 'Cause I should be so much more. And I can be so much more. And if I don't have a support structure, the government is my support structure. And I could fall back on this and become more. And that's like my safety net, you know? And I could live a more normalized life, you know? I could see my biological family have a more normal interaction. I'm not saying to be normalized by any sense it means, but I could do those normal things. I could fly into Texas. And I could beat up my family in Puerto Rico, you know, vacationing or whatever, you know, just have a normal interaction, you know, more normalized. Or whatever, you know, we talk about and meet up. I don't want to be this burden, you know. I cannot fly out now, yeah, but it'll be a huge financial burden, you know. This would be I could do those normal things. And the more normal environment, social environment you create, the more normalized my life will be. I think that's a good thing. And then have, I could integrate myself more into society more. Because I think everybody knows that I keep pushing. I don't want to stay stagnant. I don't want to just be on crutches, you know. I need a vehicle, you know, I'm talking about. So, and for white people, it's just like they work and they can integrate, they get a vehicle. But for me to be accepted, I have to have all those normal things. So it's either I'm at the bottom or I'm way at the top. I don't really get the in between like white people. And I'm not gonna blame racism. I'm not gonna blame any one white person. I can't blame a culture that is inherently evil as a whole, but any one person is not. They're good people. And these slight feelings creates a subclass. So it's just like, how do you gradually change those nuances of behavior? You got to succeed. So now I'm in this like uh chicken and egg thing. I need this to become that. But the very thing preventing me that is on the whole discriminatory and evil, but individually they're not. You know what I'm talking about? And a lot of time they're anything but racist, you know what I'm saying? So I have to cross that threshold. How do I explain that? And I'm not perfect. Let me get some more coffee. So, okay. And if you look at it like this way, if I have a more normalized lifestyle, and I know it kind of sucks on several different levels, have to rely on the VA disability and special monthly compensation, I guess. And the process is what it is. It's the sausage being made. You don't really want to look at it. Laws and sausage being made, or the VA giving me money, but I think the end product be good, because then you won't have to rely on these crazy or obscure or these wasteful things. And people come up to me directly in a normalized setting, and they could just ask me directly, what do I think about this? And I could tell them. If I have all the good information there, I'll give you my opinion. Instead of trying to, or whatever, you don't have to do it by indirectly. I think a lot of it is because of the concern of this perception of certain things. They want to be secure, to be confident about what they know. It's all like has to do with these things, that have nothing to do with getting verified information. But unfortunately, it does. And I would love to have, sit down and conversate with people at my level and force me to become more. As this one Australian told me, what, he's talking about New Zealanders and rugby and everything. And of course, I'm ranting about my social shit, which I shouldn't. I should always just be the social being. But honestly, when you see Australians, when you see me, improve me. I am a flawed person. Everybody improve me. I'm a very flawed person. What is the best way to handle this particular social interaction? Guide me, help me, become me, make me better. You are all I have, and I have to utilize it the best way I can. If you think I contribute to society, I could do so much more, because I have this barrier I need to overcome, and you could help me with that. And what you are becomes me. So if you see me make the best of me come out, because I take for granted all the good people I see, and I think I waste my interactions about just trivial things. And I know there's something deeper there that I could obtain from a lot of these people. And when I run into Australians, I just see that. I just see something deeper that they want to give to me. And I want to, and I shouldn't take it. And they're really good people. But anyways, what did he tell me? But everybody in general. And I've been saying that since growing up. I'm not saying they have to take time out of their day, but even a subtle thing, just whatever it is, this is how you should think about this. This is the correct information about that. Adjust it slightly, because I could have all the information, all the truth, and I could still go off on a tangent. That's just how the world is. I mean, that's reality, not how the world is. It's reality. People could look at the same information and come with totally different ideas. And then And when you put in lies in that, of course, it's going to be way off. And when you put in half lives, it's definitely going to be off because it's meant there to deceive you. You know, you don't have the whole truth, right? But that being said, if you have good people, and I have this like consensus from good people, I could move forward, you know. But I think I'm hampered by my own biases, my own faults. So I want to leverage, and I don't want to abuse or use. I want to have it be symbiotic. And we both come out better, you know. Anyways, he told me like this: if I'm around more people and have these conversations with people, um, because I'm going to be reflective of the type of people I'm around. So if I'm around uneducated people, my behaviorisms are going to be at that level. You know, I repeat things. I have some kind of whatever, you know. So I don't want to get out of that. And I am, because I separate it, but I still have to have interactions with educated people. And that's what I'm trying to do by going into real estate. But I could put a little bit of fire under this, catalyst into this, if I could directly state it, by giving this analogy that this Australian told me, you know, when he plays rugby, you know, when Australians and white New Zealanders grow up and they're against Maoris, they're grown men when they're 14. So the white people that come out, they're forced to become better, to learn how to tackle and everything else like that in rugby. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. You know, not saying I'm an expert on Polynesians or anything like that, by any sense of means, but I have a good gist of, you know, football and Polynesians in football, Samoans and everything, right? So it's definitely a weightlifting culture um, within Polynesians, and you want to definitely absorb some of that. I mean, I'm from the Jersey Shore. And we won the state championships in weightlifting, my high school and everything, and so there's definitely weightlifting culture there. So, anyways, and so I took that. It's forced you to become better, and here I am. I know where I'm at intellectually, but I want to get into these conversations that force me to not force me, but not only do I absorb and reflect that intelligence, that goodness, whatever, you know, everything, but it forced me to think about those social interactions better, you know what I'm talking about? That's what I want to get into. So, and then it'd be more normalized for me, so people could see who I really am, and I'm not at a survival mode or by any sense it means, but I'm definitely in a lower tier of dealing with people that just sort of like somebody they just sort of have to deal with and surpass and not give them their time for. I don't want to be a person that I am worth their time. I'm worth having them give the best of who they are to, so I could absorb that. And I think that's what this VA money will help me become. And I could build further and I could build on top of that. Because I can't integrate in society and gradually build up towards that because I can't even get onto the first step, you know? And it's frustrating. And I'm already past that. Already going into my MBA. But if I can't get into the first step, they already gotta be like, he's already successful. He already has, you know, money or whatever. Let's go up to him, talk to him. And then I could gradually force myself up to that level and surpass it. So I just accumulate to that level, and I feel like I'm way, I could do so much more. Honestly speaking. But it doesn't happen automatically, but that's the government. They do these things in this automatically thing, and that's not their job. It's not their job. But it's definitely not their job to hamper me. So I can't have, I'm not doing anything fucked up too. So I'm not worried about that. But I don't know. I do want to have that into consideration. If you need to keep track of savants and everything else like that, guide us, in the right direction. I'm going to be back on in a second. Then restart this. Well, maybe the tail end of it. I'll look at Ukraine or whatever. So pull my weight over there. Or just thinking about one thing they could do. Put this on the table for people for Ukraine. Like you got Bakhmut. Now they're always going to flank, right? And you can't tell what city is going to hold. Some towns are going to hold, some are not. Obviously now with Bakhmut, Russians are just going to say, I'm going to do everything I can to attack it, whatever. And it's just that war is already illogical. Well, we say we don't understand it, but there's definitely some fucked up logic within their heads or their nationalistic we'll say manifest destiny, or reconstituting the Russian Empire, whatever it is, I'm talking about. Anyways, I'm getting off track. So we don't know what towns are going to hold. So if we find a town that's going to hold, we know they're going to eventually flank it. So we got to make sure as soon as we are holding a town in the future, not now, that we, of course, adjust our defense. And I'll leave it very open-ended because I'm not going to get into specifics. But that now you extend out your defense on the flanks, top and bottom, or north and south, right? And then those two hard points have their flanks, almost like a U back, whatever, or like a V. I'm talking about, to guard the flanks. So you have the town that's hold and almost like a V, and hold all the high ground on there. I'm talking about, those are going to be your natural defensive lines. So if whatever crazy shit happens in this war and you have a strong point and you're holding down the enemy and you're able to grind them down, and it's to your advantage, and Ukrainians' objectives are far outweighing your risks are, your benefits and risks are far outweighing the risks, and you hold the town, whatever that is. And I don't want to dictate or corrupt the thinking into that, or micromanage anything by any sense of the means. That's deadly. But if you have some area that you're able to hold, make sure now in the future you know how to hold it just a little bit longer to do more damage. So you have that disparity, that ratio, that higher ratio of you surviving, you killing them higher for a longer period, longer duration. That now, obviously, guard your flanks even more so. But how do you do so? I think you want to quantify it more and have more heads on that problem. How do you? That's what it is. Have more people who know the terrain, who know how to fight exactly what's happening now in the field. Say, this is how you guard your flanks, above and below, and then those flanks are also guarded. And how do you hold the high ground war? And you instantly do it when these points, these areas that you're able to hold, these towns you're able to hold, because is this so? You'd say, well, we need to hold this town, or whatever, and I mean, is that, or is it? Probably, I don't know, but I don't know, the whole Bakhmut thing. It's like, okay, whatever, dude. Good for you. Got it. It's like, what does that do for you? I don't know. Honestly, like, whatever. But just, I don't understand, man. I thought we were past giving up life like it was nothing. I don't know. That was in the past. Look at all the wars we got into. What was the point of it? All they do is deter civilization to a point where we don't even realize we have civilization. But I'll be back on in about a few minutes. But you got a town. Make sure you guard those flanks and try to. And then you open up that wedge as much as possible, So you get in there and you get the high ground, and. So you're fighting to each high ground, so to speak, But I don't know. Like I said, I do not. I'm generally right about a lot of things, and other things, said get good people, smart people to and the correct weapons now, right? So I think we're figuring out what the correct weapons that we need. I don't know, what are they? Javelins, tanks, artillery. And there's gonna be hundreds of different types of weapons, but it's gonna be probably a core of certain weapons that are the most effective. And I think we already identified what they are, and we could already put them in production. And the thing is, I think we need to give leases out to Poland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Finland, Javelin, so they could produce them there, because they're in a different stance, they're than Portugal, and Andoria and Canada, than us, what I'm saying? So more of an aggressive stance, more of an industrial type of gearing up their industry to what's about to happen. And so some of these weapons we should allow them to build, so they could choose how much they need. Like, so I think, and Javelin's an easy one. Stingers, some of these other things they can produce quicker, whatever it is. And we need to have these people talking back and forth, having the Koreans talk to the Japanese about their tanks, and they're building, how their manufacturing could be better and streamlined, how their tanks could be improved, so there's redundancy. And now we think we have the best tank now, the Abrams X or the Leopard 2, whatever. But now those tank companies need to speak to Leopard, need to speak to the Koreans. They need to come out something even better than the Abrams X. So you run your production line of what it is now of Abrams. You build your Abrams X or whatever, but now it's time to put all those rivalries aside and the best minds come together. And everybody's talking and communicating, connected to come up with the best shit and how to build it and get it to there quicker, because you can have a factory in Poland, a factory in Latvia, Lithuania, but they're close to the front that could get bombed. So you want to have redundancy in Germany. You want to have redundancy in Denmark. You want to have redundancy deep into Finland. Finland already had dug deep, so you want to have that. And this is all to preserve, so when we give out goodness, we get it back. And that is such a delicate thing. And they just had to push hard enough and destroy enough of NATO where society could collapse, and they know that. So like, oh, well, we're all going to fight total war, and all of NATO is going to fight to the end, and where we grind it out. I don't think that's reality, man. We could, yeah, I think to extent it is, but we can't rely on it. We don't want to go into this where 50% of NATO's population is going to be ground out and test that where we're not at each other's throats. So we want to be even more connected, even more unified, and not taking for granted that we built up this community where we're able to communicate. We got to leverage that communication. We got to leverage all of our creative industrial power in a democratized world now, before it's too late. So we don't have to be grounded and traded out, It's not, if we just look at history, we have that capability now, so that doesn't happen in the past, but it's not an automatic thing. And we got to do those things. And we got to do them. And it just make it, and it would just be a new level of society, It's just like, it should be the point where we're in America and, Trump wants Greenland, whatever, but honestly, Greenland is really a part of us. Denmark is really a part of us. It's like, it should be like no big deal. It's like going to one civilization to another civilization, and it's just like nothing, I'm talking about. It shouldn't be like we're totally different people. It's like we all want a better world, and be more effective and come up with better shit because of it. Better widgets and gadgets and stuff like that to make our quality of life better, after this. Leverage that communication and that environment that we have to be around each other to the high extent. Get all the best and who know how to build anti-tank weapons together. All the best people that know how to build, tanks, infantry fighting vehicles. They need to be in communication. They shouldn't be happening in a vacuum over here, happening in a vacuum over here, happening in a vacuum over here, and them, rediscovering the fucking wheel over here and this and that. You don't talk that. You know what I'm saying? It's just like all the best minds should be together, and you could do that now virtually, right? And obviously now we got to have dedicated satellites go up over Ukraine. We got to shoot some up, give them communication. The Space Force should be fucking going nuts. They got to shoot up fucking satellites giving intel. You know, that's what they should be. This is a good training and good build out for the Space Force, putting up satellites where they could in real time look at the whole fucking Ukrainian Russia-Ukrainian conflict, you know. Anyways, okay, I'll be back on.